Back in the 19th century in Russia, if a young girl dreamed of pursuing higher education abroad, the only possible path open to her was a fabricated marriage of convenience. SofiaKovalevskaya, a remarkable woman wandering gracefully between the emotional sensitivity of literature and the cold rationality of mathematics, carved a tough, lonely path forward with unyielding perseverance and gentle tenderness, breaking through the thick walls of prejudice that confined women in her era. Tonight, accompanied by the faint soft glow of flickering flames, we step into the genuine life journey of this extraordinary pioneering female mind. Have you ever imagined wallpaper covered entirely with calculus lecture notes? This strange, unique sight formed the earliest, most extraordinary intellectual enlightenment of Sofia's childhood. She went down in history not only as the very first woman to earn a doctoral degree in mathematics, but also as a delicate, thoughtful literary writer. Beneath the dazzling aura of genius, however, lay repeated difficult struggles, tangled between heartfelt love and the unyielding pursuit of truth. Close your eyes. Drift back to the mist-shrouded lands of 19th-century Europe and listen quietly to the moving life story woven around this trailblazing soul. If human life could be regarded as a complex differential equation, SofiaKovalevskaya spent her whole life striving to solve its hidden variables and profound mysteries. In an age when women were strictly forbidden from stepping into university lecture halls, she earned global recognition and respect solely through her unshakable dignity and extraordinary intellectual talent. Yet her untimely early passing left behind a lingering heartrending sorrow, casting a layer of quiet melancholy over her legendary, extraordinary life. Tonight, nestled within this gentle, unhurried tale meant only for quiet remembrance, may you drift peacefully into slumber amid the soft drifting dust of history. In the 19th century, when allowing women to pursue academic learning was seen as heresy and rebellion against social norms, a young Russian girl traced the edge of her passport with quiet, desperate longing. Trapped within the boundaries of her family estate deep in the Russian countryside, she would wither away in obscurity forever if no man agreed to take her across the border. Her name was SofiaKovalevskaya. Tonight, accompanied by the softly flickering glow of the hearth fire, we walk fully into the untold life of this remarkable soul. Through this tranquil tale meant only for quiet reflection, she shone as one of the brightest mathematical stars of her time, praised by the great mathematician Weierstrass as a genius of purest natural talent. Few could have imagined that this future distinguished female professor first gained her hard-won freedom through a carefully arranged fake marriage. She possessed the brilliant intellectual insight to calculate the physical laws governing the rotational movement of rigid bodies, yet there were nights when she broke down in tears, unable to untangle the messy emotional knots of ordinary human life. This was the profound paradox belonging to this female genius. Her sharp intellectual mind belonged to the far-reaching future, while her physical existence remained trapped within the rigid, decaying conventions of the past. Now let all worldly noise fade into stillness beneath the warm glow of the fireplace, and slowly push open the heavy, ancient gate of history to walk alongside her story. Sofia's bold plan to escape the confinement of her homeland began when she turned 18. What drove her forward was far less a longing for romantic love than a desperate fight for the chance to pursue knowledge freely. At that time, Russian law strictly forbade unmarried young women from traveling overseas without explicit permission from their fathers, and her conservative father, a retired military general, would never grant his daughter leave to travel all the way to Germany merely to study abstract mathematics. Late beneath the dim candlelight of the Palabino estate, Sofia and her elder sister devised a whimsical, risky plan. They arranged a quiet meeting with Vladimir, a young paleontologist, and asked whether he would agree to enter a legally nominal marriage purely for the advancement of scientific progress. Moved by the unwavering determination shining brightly in the young girl's eyes, Vladimir gave his consent, and in that moment Sofia finally secured her precious ticket to freedom. Yet this ticket to a new life came at the cost of years of self-exile and deliberate pretense. Seated tightly beside the train window on her journey toward Germany, she watched the vast, desolate plains of her homeland fade slowly into the distance, her heart tangled with quiet guilt over her deception and overwhelming exhilaration at stepping into true freedom. She could never have foreseen that this casual contractual marriage, meant only to grant her passage abroad, would evolve into an emotional entanglement haunting her for the rest of her life. All she knew was that great scholarly mentors awaited her in Heidelberg and Berlin, that those intricate mathematical equations were the true spiritual home where her soul belonged. It was the first time fate smiled kindly upon her, yet it also laid the most hidden, subtle foreshadowing for her lifelong wandering and emotional unrest. The winters of Berlin were bitterly cold and endlessly long. Sofia stood outside the residence of the legendary mathematician Weierstrass, almost buried deep beneath heavy snowfall. The University of Berlin barred female students from formal enrollment, refusing to admit her even though she possessed the sharp insight to spot logical flaws hidden within the professor's own lecture notes. At first, the elderly lifelong bachelor Scholar Weierstrass remained skeptical of the young girl's talent casually, assigning several extremely difficult advanced problems that even senior graduate students struggled to solve, hoping to send her away easily. A week later, Sofia returned to his study not only with perfect accurate answers but also with astonishing intuitive perception and profound understanding of partial differential equations that left the great master utterly amazed. Deeply impressed by her extraordinary intellectual gift, Weierstrass made an unprecedented exception, choosing to conduct private, exclusive lectures for her alone inside his cluttered study piled high with endless manuscripts and academic papers. The two brilliant minds, one elderly and one young, crossed the divides of gender and age, engaging in pure, profound intellectual dialogue night after night. Sofia often worked late into the lamplit hours, calculus symbols dancing fluidly beneath her pen, forming the only ordered world she could fully control and understand. She once told her mentor sincerely, "If you love mathematics without also cherishing the beauty of poetry, you will never grow into a truly great mathematician." It was this poetic, intuitive sensibility unique to her that allowed her to submit 3 remarkably valuable academic papers and earn her well-deserved doctoral degree from the University of Göttingen in 1874. She became the very first woman in global history to obtain a doctorate in mathematics. At that moment she seemed to stand firmly atop the peak of rational academic achievement, yet remained unaware that the cold, bitter currents of social prejudice were closing in upon her from every direction. Even after earning her prestigious doctoral title, the world still refused to open its doors fully to her. Returning to her native Russia, Sofia soon faced cruel, harsh reality. Not a single middle school would offer her a teaching position solely because she was a woman. The nominal fake marriage she had arranged years earlier now began to demand its heavy price. Vladimir had genuinely fallen deeply in love with her, and Sofia found herself trapped in a swirling vortex of emotional conflict. They tried to build a genuine married life together, enjoying brief moments of peaceful happiness and welcoming a lovely baby daughter into their lives. Yet amid trivial daily burdens and mounting financial pressure, these two brilliant minds destined for academic pursuits suffered devastating losses in reckless speculative business ventures. Overwhelmed by the weight of failure and despair, Vladimir took his own life, the shocking news striking Sofia like a bolt of lightning, shattering the fragile peace she had managed to build. She locked herself away in a darkened room for 5 full days, refusing all food and drink, her mind endlessly haunted by the final sorrowful look in his eyes. Consumed by overwhelming guilt and self-reproach, she threw herself into academic research with almost self-destructive dedication, striving to numb the piercing pain in her heart through rigorous study of rigid body motion and rotational mechanics. This extreme overexertion of mind and body aged her far beyond her years, yet also gave birth to the greatest academic achievement of her lifetime, her groundbreaking research on the structural formation of Saturn's rings. She drifted like a lost soul, drowning in the boundless ocean of mathematics, yet found breath and solace within the perfect structure of logical equations. This quiet inner struggle lent a touch of cold melancholy and quiet grace to her extraordinary beauty. The first snowfall of 1884 fell gently over the quiet early morning streets of Stockholm, bringing Sofia the long-delayed spring she had waited for so long. Thanks to the strong recommendation and persistent advocacy of her close friend Middag Leffler, Sweden finally extended an invitation appointing her as a university professor. It marked a seemingly glorious chapter of her life. She became the first female mathematics professor not only in Sweden but across the whole of Europe, and later received the prestigious Borden Prize from the French Academy of Sciences. Yet the higher she climbed in academic fame, the more her heart trembled like a fragile leaf drifting in the wind. In letters written to close friends she poured out her quiet sorrow. Why can I never possess both profound intellectual understanding and the simple ordinary happiness of everyday life? She began picking up her literary pen once again, writing tender nostalgic accounts of her childhood memories in the quiet Russian countryside, pouring forth delicate inner emotions that could never be expressed through cold mathematical formulas. Half of her soul belonged to rigid, logically precise equations, while the other half burned with the untamable, passionate sentiment of literary creation. This inner division and emotional exhaustion wore heavily upon her spirit. She burned like a candle flickering down to its last wick, radiating dazzling light, yet powerless to hold back the creeping advance of darkness. Standing before her university lecture hall in Sweden, facing rows of students gazing at her with reverent, curious or doubtful eyes, her voice remained gentle yet carried a faint trace of quiet hoarseness. It was her final lingering echo upon the world, a genius's most heartfelt quiet confession before exhausting the last of her life's vitality. At the start of 1891, Sofia caught a severe cold while traveling back to Sweden from Berlin. Years of relentless overwork and mental strain had weakened her constitution drastically, and the minor illness quickly deteriorated into severe pneumonia. No one could have imagined that this remarkable female mathematician would pass away forever in the quiet stillness of the night at the tragically young age of 41, returning to the mystery of her fake marriage posed at the beginning of our story. That bold choice was in truth a young girl offering up her entire life as a sacrifice to the unyielding pursuit of truth. She won every logical battle within mathematical equations, yet lost herself to the cruel limitations of her era, departing far too soon. This remains one of the most piercing sorrows hidden within the pages of history. Yet close your eyes for a moment and you may still feel the faint lingering breath of her spirit dwelling quietly behind every line of calculus notation. Sofia's extraordinary life proved that supreme wisdom bears no boundary of gender, and that the human soul can possess the pure logical precision of mathematics while holding the romantic poetic tenderness of literature. Now the wind and snow outside have faded away, all unfulfilled dreams drift gently into slumber alongside this quiet tale. Let your breathing slow into calm steady rhythm, allowing the gentle perseverance and quiet grace of this mathematical goddess to cradle you into deep peaceful rest. Good night, SofiaKovalevskaya, and may you enjoy a serene undisturbed dream this evening.